Good morning! I'm sitting on my couch in my New York City apartment where I do not pay rent, I pay a mortgage. And since I've been making a lot of home reno content, I get a lot of questions about where I live. If I live upstate or do I live in New York City? And the answer is I kind of live in both. I live in New York City basically Monday through Thursday. And for the last few months on Thursday, my boyfriend and I then drive up and we spend the weekend at our house, which is a few hours outside of New York City. I feel very, very lucky and fortunate to be able to own both of the places that I live in. I know that is an extreme privilege, and I gotta say it's also very meaningful for me because growing up my family did experience financial and housing instability, which was always very traumatizing for me. I grew up in New York City for like the first 10 years of my life, and then I moved to Portland, Oregon when I was 9 years old. And when my mom moved us to Oregon, we actually didn't even have a place yet, so we stayed in the basement on some mattresses of our friends, and we basically stayed there I don't even know how long, and then we were dropped at summer camp, like our first ever sleepaway camp. And when we came back, my mom had found a little house in a very non-diverse area of Portland, Oregon called Lake Oswego. And we were there for less than a year before we got kicked out by the landlords who wanted to like tear down and redo the house or something like that. You know, we lived in New York. I thought we were gonna live here for like my whole entire life. And when you grow up in New York City, you have this ego of it being like the center of the world, the best place in the world. And then the carpet kind of ripped out from under me, then moving to Oregon. And I will never forget telling my third grade teacher that I was moving to Oregon, and we had this big country map in the classroom where there were little like icons or animal cartoons over each state for what they were known for. And so there was like a potato over Idaho, and over Oregon there was a fucking cow. That makes no sense to me because I feel like Oregon is actually not known at all for dairy or beef production or cows. If anything, we're more known for like trees and mountains, or food. But anyways, I remember crying so hard when I saw that because growing up in New York City, especially in Chinatown, you're like, this is the center of the world, center of culture, and I'm gonna move to like the fucking farm. And then we moved to Oregon, and to not really have a place there and, you know, very much be living out of a suitcase, going to my first sleepaway camp in a fucking forest, and I had not really spent time in a forest at all before. And so it was all very, very new. And then finally feeling at home, and then seeing my mom have to deliver the news to us that we had to move very quickly. We did eventually land in a pretty great apartment, but when I was a freshman in high school, my mom went through a bit of an unemployed era, and so we ended up moving out, and basically she kept food on the table by renting out our place, and we kind of couch surfed with our friends for almost a year. I would say that I just think emotionally it was very destabilizing, as I think it would be for like any kid. And then when I got to college, I felt like I had a little bit more of stability, but I impulsively ran for office. I ran for Cambridge City Council, and it was a very publicized political run. I got a lot of hate mail, like literally in the mail, because when you run for office, your address goes public because you register with the local government, like where you live and everything. And so I was getting hate mail through the mail, and I eventually took that to my dean of students at the house I was in at Harvard called Cabot, which is like it's historically more of like the Radcliffe dorms, and they moved me to a higher security house. They moved me to Winthrop, which is more central after the election. And so I was able to get more privacy and also have a mailing address that wasn't public. Me and my best friend, we moved to a different place, but I think that was also destabilizing. And I don't think I ever really fully moved into that new dorm room because, you know, when you're in college, you move dorms after 9 months and you have to put all your stuff into storage or take it with you. And then the pandemic hit, and I was living out of a suitcase again at a place my mom and my sister were living, in a place that I had never lived before. And then the pandemic, my boyfriend and I kind of spent like hopping around. We basically were in Portland together, then we went to Vermont, then we went to New Jersey, I went to rehab, and then back to New Jersey, I believe. And in 2021, we decided to move back into the city. We were in Williamsburg for a bit because we got a great COVID deal in like the apartment of my dreams in a penthouse, like so gorgeous. And that functioned basically as our apartment and also the original August office for quite a while. And I would say when it came to the time of deciding whether or not we were going to renew our lease, we knew that we couldn't afford it without the COVID deals. And I started having like kind of panicky dreams where as I was falling asleep, I would start having anxiety about having to move out really quickly, and I would stay up for hours at night, and my insomnia kind of came back because I would literally go to sleep making a checklist of all the things we were gonna pack. And I would think about, okay, we're gonna leave these things, take these things to go. I'm gonna take apart this furniture and put it in first. We're gonna rent a U-Haul. Like, even though we had not even confirmed we were gonna move, I had a lot of anxiety about what we were gonna take, what we were not gonna take, what the order of things we were gonna take was, what furniture we were gonna take apart, how many bags I was gonna pack, and I would have a lot of anxiety about not knowing where I was gonna live in a few months. And I think that it was just a lot of my past housing related trauma all coming back to that point. At that point, I think I also felt lucky enough that between me and my boyfriend, we could afford to buy a place, and interest rates were luckily in a good place where we knew that we could make a good choice when it came to a mortgage. I will say he figured out most of the financial parts of that. I don't even still understand exactly how the mortgage works. I just know that I pay it and he and I eventually split it. But so I very much relied on my finance boyfriend to help me figure all of that out. But so in 2022, we bought this apartment here in Brooklyn, and honestly, it was kind of night and day. As soon as we moved into the place, all my anxiety of needing to move, of not letting myself like put things on the wall, like really went away. I left out one apartment where actually right before the pandemic, I did rent an apartment. It was like a small bedroom in a little apartment with 5 other roommates actually, and I only spent about a month there before the pandemic hit, and then I was literally paying New York City rent. I think I was paying like $1,800 a month for a room in a place where I had a shared bathroom with 3 other girls. It was 5 people total in this very dingy, like windowless living room apartment. It was $1,800 a month. I only was there for about a month before the pandemic hit, then was stupidly paying rent for the entire time of the pandemic. Anyways, that was just not great. I would say at all of those places, I never hung anything on the walls. I never like put into the wall, like I never hammered anything in, because I always had this feeling of like, I'm not gonna put anything semi-permanent here if I'm just gonna have to take it down. And as soon as we moved into this place, and I knew that I was gonna be here, like I think I'm gonna be in this apartment for at least the next 10 years. I think we can have baby 1, maybe baby 2 here. And I feel very, very comfortable and excited to put things on the wall, to hammer things in, to make changes and investments into like our own little happiness here and invest in furniture here. And so anyways, this is what I would consider our home base. So we do have our abandoned house upstate, and we do spend a lot of time there, and we have. Originally when we bought the place upstate, I thought we were gonna rent it out a lot more. I thought we were gonna do like an Airbnb situation. But once you turn like this abandoned house into like your dream family house, and I honestly see how much our dogs love it up there. We're spending so much time up there that I don't think we're gonna be renting it out for Airbnb. Like we're literally spending Thursday through Sunday there most of the time. And over the holidays, I was there for 3 straight weeks. It was so beautiful and so wonderful to have. And I've loved being able to like loan it out to friends as well. So basically, this is our living situation. We live in our apartment in Brooklyn Monday through Thursday. My boyfriend goes into the office Tuesday through Thursday. I go into the office Mondays and Wednesdays, and so it really works out. And then we usually go up to the house upstate Thursday through Sunday, and we're there for that amount of time. And that really is our family house. Again, my mom sold her place in Portland, and so my family does not have a home base there. Like my family home base is our house upstate. That's where all of my childhood belongings are. That's where my sister comes home from college, and she has her bedroom, and my mom might live up there this summer for a bit with us and have that as her home base in the US. But yeah, that's kind of our living situation. We've lived in our condo for over 2 years now. It feels very lived in. That being said, I still feel like we haven't gotten to our optimal organization and interior design situation. If you've been following on TikTok, we recently like completely rearranged the furniture in our living room, and I like it already so much more. For all these goals that I have from an interior design standpoint, like our storage is really not optimized. I'll show you all of it, and maybe you have some tips for us. But being in a New York City apartment, basically right now for this month in January, since my sister's home from college, living here is me, my boyfriend, my sister, her 65-pound pit bull mix, and our 27-pound Woodle mix. And so it's 5 humans, basically 5 beings in this 1,000 square foot apartment. And it's very small, but it honestly, it works. And I think it feels very cozy, but there is a lot of stuff to fit into the apartment. And we're very fortunate in the way that like we literally have a house upstate where we can move things there. But even right now, I think there's a lot of improvements we can do around our apartment in Brooklyn to be able to make it feel super nice and really spacious. I think one of the biggest challenges right now is wardrobe organization, which we have not figured out at all. My boyfriend and my stuff is completely mixed up. It's a total pain point. I feel like either I or he complains about it at least, let's say 3 times a week. Another big pain point is our kitchen organization. And so even though we have a kitchen that opens up into our living room, we have like the rice cooker stored in the bedroom. We have like some utensils stored in the bedroom. It really does not make any sense. But this is our little home. This is our little nest in like a tree in New York City. That's what it feels like. We are really blessed with our views. And also, fun fact, my boyfriend and I put in an offer and bought this apartment when he hadn't ever seen it before. I was touring apartments and walked into this place. We had toured so many different places for like 6 months. I walked in, saw the place, I knew I wanted a corner unit, and immediately was like, this is the one, we need to put in an offer. And he trusted my instinct in the same way that when he found the abandoned pea-soaked floor house upstate, he told me this is the one, we need to put in an offer, and I trusted his gut and we went with it even though I had never seen it. And so it all kind of worked out. My boyfriend and I are 50-50 on everything, and like we are very meticulous about it. Like we have a Splitwise, highly recommend if you ever live with someone or you go on a group trip or anything. Splitwise is like one of my favorite go-to apps I use every single day. It basically is so you can put in all your expenses, and no matter how many people you have in the group, it'll all kind of rearrange the numbers so people can make as minimal payments as possible, and it kind of evens the bill. But my boyfriend and I do split everything when it comes to housing and groceries, so I'm better at like organizing my finances and keeping track of receipts and expenses. You know, he always pays me back and everything, and that's just what feels really right for us. I'll pay for the mortgage, I'll pay for our parking. Parking is so expensive in New York. We pay about $500 a month for parking, which is fucking ridiculous. It was actually my rent that I paid for like a very small apartment once in a New York City summer. I think after my sophomore year of college, I paid $600 a month for rent, and now I basically pay that for my fucking car, which is so ridiculous. Everything that we'll pay for, we put into Splitwise, and then we settle it up there. But my boyfriend and I have been together for 5 years. We basically moved in together after 3 months of dating because of the pandemic, and we've lived together ever since. And we have our little New York City nest here in Brooklyn, and then we spend our weekends up at the house. So it's currently Friday, and I've basically been finishing up work. I'm doing a lot of cleaning just so I can get the house in. I like being able to clean the apartment before we leave, so when we come back on Sunday, it's like, it doesn't like stress me out or anything. And so probably sometime late this afternoon, we'll drive up to our house upstate and spend the weekend there. Anyways, I'll give you a little tour of our apartment. Bear with me because it is not like perfectly cleaned or anything. That is one thing I always splurge on. We pay about $300 every 2 weeks. I know we overpay our cleaners, but absolutely they're worth it. We love them. We've been working with them for years. The cleaner comes every other week and does like a deep clean for $300 each time. And we also really need it when my sister's dog is here because he sheds everywhere, and so she really like gets all of the hair and everything. So bear with me because I'm gonna do a little bit of an apartment tour when we haven't had this place clean for about a week, and so you'll see some of the dog hair everywhere. We also have this like dog fluff everywhere because the dogs destroy their toys. Like the house is just covered in this by the end of each day, and I need to be better about vacuuming it up. So bear with me because it's not perfectly cleaned, but I wanted to be able to show you our little apartment, and that's my answer to where we live. We split our time, and it's really fun. I feel very, very blessed, and I'm excited to just keep making these little places our home, especially since I'm a homebody and don't really leave my place and don't really have a social life. I spend a lot of time here. I spend a lot of time on this couch, watching a lot of TV, doing a lot of work, doing a lot of content editing. So yeah, welcome to our home. This is our apartment entryway where you walk into the apartment. Our fridge does not have a magnetic cover, and so all of our magnets end up here. This is a little weekly planner that we never use. I don't think it's ever been written on. One of the bigger investments we made is we got the really nice Eames colorful ball hangers. I grew up with one of these in my dad's house, and so it's very nostalgic for me, and we have 2 of them, although I will say once it fell out of the wall because we hang a lot of stuff here. Like we hang way too many jackets here, more than we probably should. Right to the left, I put the camera on 0.5, so this is not to scale, but I just want to show you exactly what it looks like. Another one of my favorite pieces is we got this like upholstered bench that is actually a little bit too big for this entryway. Like the bench literally sticks out a few inches, but we use this all the time because I sit here and like put on my shoes, put on the dog's jackets and everything. Some of our funky mirrors, and also these are technically coat hangers, but I am not allowed to put things here anymore because it ruins the wall like that. Like you can see, this is where we've been hanging up coats like that, and it scratches the wall, so I'm not allowed to do that anymore. This is my sister's bathroom essentially. I will say I literally hate these sinks because they're really bad about having any place to store things. Like I think that these sinks were designed by a man because when you have anything here, like if there are shavings or anything, they do not drain down because it is so flat. And my sister and I always end up like storing things here in the same way things end up here. So I feel like if we're gonna be here for another 20 years, a goal of mine is to get new sinks. So this is not ideal, but this is the sink that the apartment came with, and we like it. I do keep so much of I basically think of this as all of the things, all of my skincare things that I will use again once I reach empties. And so like I always use this. I always have extra vitamin C serum, you know, all of the things, and our little like small medicine cabinet here. Extra mirror, I need to figure out where this goes. One of my favorite things in our bedroom is that Henry made this. It was one of the first custom furniture pieces he made. It's like a little den for Mimi, and she actually does fall asleep there. It's where Blue slept last night. Another sink made by a man. That's why I added this thing. Okay, and back to the couch where I was working. This is our little living room. We walk through the hallway. Human-sized dog bed that I just got yesterday. All my period products out because I was doing a TikTok live late last night. Our living room, TV, dog toy stuffies, dog bed. We moved our dining table there. I'm obsessed with our rug and couch combo, but we moved the couch from there to here, so that's why all of this is off center. We need to fix it. Kitchen. My desk used to be here, but we moved it here, and unfortunately I'm a messy worker, and so I do have it really cluttered. It's really bad. I need to figure that out. I'm telling you guys, this is a very realistic apartment tour.